Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's edition of Brain Gist. Today, I'll be talking to you about the impact of a good night's sleep on migraine. In my last video, I talked about the usefulness of having adequate amount of water intake in the day on improving migraines. And there's so many lifestyle factors that indeed impact headache frequency in migraine and indeed in other forms of headaches. But since we're talking about migraine, which is probably the most important cause of headache globally, besides the secondary causes which aren't so common, so we're talking about the impact of good sleep on migraine in this video. Now, before I go ahead, I'd like to welcome those of you who are probably watching this channel for the very first time. It's a channel that is dedicated to educating people about brain disorders and how best to live meaningful lives in spite of suffering from these disorders, because these educational approaches or lifestyle approaches to improving lives and medical disorders is often very difficult to find and is missing in the care of most people. So this channel is created to bridge this gap. And then for those who've been watching very regularly, I appreciate you for watching all the time and for your support. I do love to read your comments. All right, so today, once again, so it's about sleep. Does sleep have any impact at all on migraine? The truth is, or the fact is, a lot of times when patients come to the clinic, they just want you to give them a magic medication that would transform their headaches. It's not uncommon for me to see, patients, especially young females, coming with headaches that have become disabling. Some of them have been having headaches that are not improving in the last couple of weeks. Some of them have not been able to, work or do other things that matter to them because of how disabling and incapacitating their headaches have become. Some report daily headaches. Some report headaches every other day. And one of the factors I explore most of the time includes sleep, the quality of their nighttime sleep. This is very, very important. And when I explore these lifestyle factors, especially sleep, sometimes I end up not prescribing any medication to the patient, but wanting them to first of all address their sleep, because the truth is, the worse your night's sleep is, the worse your migraine becomes. And the better your night's sleep is, the better your migraine becomes. And regardless of how much medication you heap on the patient, if their sleep does not improve, the migraine may not improve. So it's often a multifactorial issue. So sleep is extremely important, and everyone or every migraine patient as adults or adolescents and adults would need to have at least 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep every night. So that's very, very important. So I often find that some people have got other issues that keep them awake at night, that interrupt their sleep. And unless we identify these factors and correct them, they may not improve. And of course, in Dubai here, where life can be very stressful. So young people tend to stay up, at night, work very long hours, even work into the night, and therefore do not have adequate time to sleep. It's important to sleep enough. So medications alone aren't enough. The other problem I tend to see in the clinic sometimes is patients stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. before going to bed. And then they think if they extend the sleep till 10 or so, still having 7 hours they think it might be enough. But actually, it's not sufficient, but that's stressful. So what I tell my migraine patients is, Do your best to not exit 12 midnight before going to bed every day. It's best before 11 p.m. But of course, because I understand how life is in Dubai, say sometimes you might, but do not extend beyond 12 o'clock. Because anything after 12 midnight, the body perceives it as an extra amount of stress. So that on its own can worsen your migraine attacks, because in the early hours of the night, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., the body produces very essential hormones and gets prepared for the stress of the next day. So if you're awake at this time, you impede this process. So your body is not adequately prepared for the stress of the following day, and therefore you're going to be overwhelmed, and your headaches would also definitely get worse. So the time you go to bed is extremely important, and how much time you spend in bed is important, and that sleep has to be, has to be uninterrupted for that period of time. At least it's a 7 hours of good night's sleep, 6 to 7. That's extremely important. And the next question I ask patients is, sometimes the duration of sleep is good, but then the quality of sleep is poor. So all of this are important too. So the question I often ask them is, how refreshed do you feel in the morning when you wake up? Do you feel refreshed? And some tell me, oh no, I don't feel refreshed. So that tells you the quality of sleep is not good enough. So the question is, you need to sleep long enough, and you need to feel refreshed the following morning when you wake up. So if you're not sleeping long enough or early enough, so that needs to be addressed, and you need to be in bed long enough, and you need to feel refreshed in the morning, and this way your migraine is likely to improve. Now, I will end this talk by talking about those 2 words I used in my last video, and that is consistent and sufficient. That's extremely important. So that your sleep has to be sufficient. The number of hours, at least 6 to 7 hours every night, starting not later than 12 midnight. And that has to be consistent. You have to do that all the time. So this is something I try to make my migraine patients go away with from the clinic every time. And that is, it has to be consistent and sufficient. So I hope you would start to sleep better now, because when you realize what impact it could have on your migraine. All right, thank you for watching once again today. I encourage you to please subscribe so that you can benefit from future videos, and turn on your notifications so you can be one of the first people to see these videos once they're released. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Please do share it, give your comments, subscribe, until I come your way again next week. Bye for now, and do